Hello, everyone. This is me going over how to grade your own essays for me to then grade your essay. You're going to be doing this for each of your three essays. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we're going to be working on that this week after you're done with your three essays. And so let me go over what you're going to be doing as you grade your own essay. Okay. Let me actually center that. Okay. Hopefully this doesn't mess it up. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to be getting paper copies of this worksheet. And you're going to go through, I'll give you a copy of the rubric itself, and then this is the kind of handy dandy questions to be thinking about as you grade for each of the categories. It's going to go with it. So I'll give you a copy of the rubric and a copy of this in paper. And you don't need to staple the rubric, but you're going to staple this to each of the essays as you grade them, okay? So for row A, you're going to be looking at these questions of did I do the right things or any of the no-nos, the score killers for these, okay? So first you want to be looking at, do I get am I going to circle the 0 or the 1 for this score? And so is there actually a thesis? Is it towards the end of the intro, right? Is it defensible? Is it actually a position, an argument? Does it respond to the prompt? What do you think? Does it have a line of reasoning that includes a because or a by with some kind of two specific reasons why you think whatever you think, right? So these are all important things. Is it defensible means, can you imagine someone arguing against you? Like, is there something you can actually do to defend your position? Because if you just listed a fact, it's not defensible, right? It's just something it's just true. So it's got to be controversial. It's got to be, and what that means is you can imagine someone disagreeing with you, okay? And then the score killer things that we'll be looking at that might take away your point is, are you being wishy-washy, or do you seem like neutral, like you don't have a position, right? So you want to make sure you have a definitive stance that has a position, and it's not just stating, some think this, but others think that. It needs to be a claim. You need to pick a side and commit to it, right? Another score killer is the mirror trap. That's like if you're just restating the prompt's language. Like if the prompt asks, is disobedience a valuable trait? And then your thesis is disobedience is a valuable trait. Okay, that's not really an original thesis. You could get a 0 for that, particularly if you don't have that line of reasoning about why. You want to try to use a more specific phrase for your thesis than just repeating what the prompt is asking, right? And you want to be using like synonyms and stuff, or a different way to say the same thing, okay? So once you've kind of gone through this checklist, you're going to circle either you got no point or you got the point, and you're going to explain why you did or didn't. You're going to write down why, okay? That's your justification of why you think you do or do not earn that point. Okay, so now let's look at row B. Row B is about measuring the line of reasoning. Did you actually, quote unquote, prove what your thesis set up, right? So there's the what and the why. The what's the evidence, the why's the commentary. Notice how in the rubric it's split in half too. So for the first half of the requirements, do you have specific evidence? Instead of saying like many people in history think this, did you name a specific person, a specific event, a specific anecdote, okay, a specific fact? Not general statements that are kind of not falsifiable. Is the evidence relevant? Like, does it actually connect to your argument? Does it help support what you're trying to say? Is there enough of it? Remember, you want at least 2 to 3 distinct pieces of evidence from different areas per paragraph, okay? And a score killer is just bringing up hypotheticals or really vague examples, right? For example, if you said, imagine if so-and-so did this, or say there was a student who did that. Okay, those hypotheticals tend to be very weak when we're talking about evidence. So here's a thing to kind of think about. There's an acronym called CHORES. Did you give some specifics from current events? Which, guess what? I'm going to make you read the newspaper next year and pay attention to current events. Or did you get something from history? Remember, I told you history class is a great place to pull from. Outside knowledge that means your own life, right? From your own experiences. From religious points of view, right? Could you use some ethical argument from a religious foundation? Economics that has to do with like finances, money, that kind of stuff. or science, scientific evidence, scientific facts, sociological facts, psychological facts, anything to do with like kind of like the research stuff. Okay, you want to be thinking about those things. And of course, literature counts as part of that outside knowledge. Okay. Because you can use books too. Although fictional books aren't going to be as strong as factual data, but you can use both. And then the commentary, right? The why, the reasoning, right? Did your line of reasoning check? Did the topic sentences of every body paragraph explicitly link back to your line of reasoning of your thesis? Does all the evidence and commentary about it connect the evidence to your thesis, right? Is it all connected? Did you have at least a couple sentences explaining how your evidence, quote unquote, proves your thesis? So you've got to remember the 1-to-2 ratio. You want to have, at least a couple sentences. I'm going to get rid of the one. All right. The line of reasoning, do your paragraphs flow logically from one to the next with transitions, right? Does it make sense? You want to, if you're showing contrast, you use a contrasting transition of some kind so that it flows, okay? Is it logical, basically, is that one? Is it beyond summary? Like, did you avoid simply describing the evidence where you spent, like, for example, 5 sentences describing some historical event and only 1 sentence explaining how it connects to your argument? You might just get a 2 or 3 in this zone if you're having way too much summary, not enough argument. You want to be using the evidence to help connect to your evidence. You're arguing. Sure, you need to give enough context for it to make sense, but you need to spend more of your time arguing rather than summarizing, if that makes sense. Hopefully that's clear. If not, ask me, okay? You can always bring up your essay and say, what do you think about this? That kind of a thing. And then the score killers to look out for. Are you giving just like a history lecture? Did you spend 70% of the paragraph telling a story and only 30% explaining it? It's kind of repeating that beyond summary point. Remember, you want that 1-to-2 ratio. The vague problem, right? Did you use vague terms like in the past, back in the day, people say? You don't want to do that. Proper nouns, name the person or the decade, the century, the era, the country, the law, the specific conflict, something. You want to make sure you're doing that. I'll fix the where it breaks up when I print it. But anyway, then you're going to be giving your score and your justification, right? So you're going to circle a 0, 1, 2 or a 3, 4, and then again you have to explain in the box why you think you deserve that score. And I split it between not passing and passing here, okay? And then the last point, of course, that unicorn sophistication point, right? This kind of extra point for having a really good essay or something really good about it. So these are all the different points that are on the rubric we've talked about, right? So you have to be thinking about these things, right? Did you acknowledge the complicated nature of the issue, right? Not just being one-sided and black and white thinking. Did you use some kind of concession or counter rebuttal? Did you connect to the broader context of the world? Like, did you explain why this argument matters in a larger sense, historically, socially, ethically, philosophically? What about the style? Is it vivid? Did you use precise word choice, or were you using a lot of those dead words like a lot, very, good, bad, that kind of stuff? Was your sentence structure varied, right? Or is it all like every sentence is like a simple sentence? Or did you use effective rhetorical choices like appealing to logos, pathos, ethos? We will talk about that later. Or any devices, like literary devices that intentionally help strengthen your argument, like using a metaphor or an analogy or imagery, okay? The so what factor, right? In your conclusion, did you explain the broader implications? Again, connecting to the, that's kind of like the so what factor is part of that broader context, but coming to a kind of a big conclusion at the end, right, of the context. Like, why does this matter to your reader or to the future of society? Some score killers on this extra point is the binary argument. Did you write it as if they don't agree with you, that they're wrong and that you're right? Like, that means did you not have any concessions, any counter argument rebuttal, right? So a way to fix that, you want to make sure you have that counter rebuttal. Or was your syntax so simple and boring, that it made it seem elementary and immature, just wasn't complex enough to get the point? And again, you're going to have to explain, did you get this point or not, and why? Then you're going to add it all up, and you're going to circle 0 through 6. What did you get? And again, explain why as an overall score. And then I will then put my comments and give you the score. And then if you have any questions for me, you can add them right here when you turn it in. Okay? So if you have any questions, please ask me. But what you're going to be doing is filling this out. Oh, one other thing. You're going to put an X if it's missing, and you put a check mark if it's present. Okay? So don't just put check, 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 and turn it in. You want to be thinking, is it there or not? X if it's not, check if it is. Which I think that kind of makes sense. X kind of has that negative connotation of, nope, not there. Okay? So again, make sure you do this for each of the essays. Okay, it'll take a little bit of time. All right, but you want to go through all these things so you can pick which is your favorite. This is a way for you to kind of think about all the little subset skills that are in there. Okay. And I'll give you guys kind of like a quick checklist of like the big stuff. Like, is it one giant paragraph? You're not getting a 4. Stuff like that. So I'll give you kind of a master obvious thing to do, to think about before you even bother with this, but I'll have that on the board when you come in, of the giant, whoa. Because if I had just one big paragraph, it's instantly at the most a 3, okay? Because your coherence line of reasoning is shot at that point. So, anywho, I hope this is helpful for you to kind of figure out what your score probably is within a point, and helps you kind of understand the expectations for these essays, at least to some degree. All right, let me know if you have any questions. Bye-bye.